were proposed to by Charlie in 2020. You started dating him in 2018. And 3 years before that, we're dating this guy, Tyler Massey. I mean, you guys would do couples photo shoots. This is still online. And this is only 3 years before you started dating Charlie.
He's in heaven.
Yeah, and 2 years later, you were dating this guy, Cabot Phillips, and here he is posting you guys on his public page saying, yes, we're that couple who gets painting lessons together. Again, this is a year before you started dating Charlie, and well within the 5-year period, you claim to have never dated anyone, but you were out here dissing your roommate.
For 5 years. I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was. Somehow getting drinks was the replacement of having coffee and breakfast. I personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone than I don't drink. I find it unproductive, not because I'm holier than whatever. I just don't operate that way. But I always thought it was very strange how she would go to drinks with one guy and then go to dinner with another. So it goes twofold here. So if you're expecting to marry someone that I was blessed with, like a Charlie, you have to be the type of woman that will attract a Charlie. Are you going to church? Are you going to Bible study? Did you tell your pastor?
She told millions of people she had never dated. Said it straight to camera on national television with the calm certainty of someone who'd rehearsed the line until it felt like the truth. And then the internet found the photos. Not one set, multiple sets, multiple men, multiple years. Years she never mentioned, that nobody on that stage thought to question, and that she apparently assumed the world had forgotten. It hadn't.
The Lord used him. The Lord used him for me.
How long did it take you to fall in love with him?
That's the funny thing is it's so interesting because when we were sitting there, I fell in love with how brilliant he was to be able to articulate what he believed in. And when he said, I'm not going to hire you, I'm going to date you, I knew that was the Lord, because there were so many times where I said, my future husband that's out there, he will literally, it will be... The only reason why I look up is because the Lord says to look up, and that was something to look up to when someone's like, I'm going to date you. And so but honestly, it was the constant consistency of, I'm here for you.
How to be a biblical woman in society. I think it was Elizabeth Elliot that said, being a woman does not make me a better Christian or a certain Christian, but being a Christian makes me a very different woman. And I think understanding, yes, your biblical role, but also be the woman that your future husband deserves. Be the woman that, God wants you to be. You don't have to be out partying. Don't, be crazy thinking I'm running out of time when your God is the author of time.
That right there is what started the unraveling. For months before that CBS town hall in December 2025, there had already been a very specific, very uncomfortable question quietly circulating online about Erika Kirk and her children. It kept surfacing in comment sections, in forums, in late-night live streams, and nobody who actually knew anything seemed willing to step into it publicly. That silence was about to get a lot harder to maintain.
I wouldn't do it. You went to a job interview. Literally. So this is how good the Lord is. He knew that because I was not dating in New York City, he knew that in order for me to know that that was my man, he had to blanket Charlie as a job interview. Because if that went in, no joke, if he came to me and said, hey, let's go on a date to Bill's Burgers, I'd be like, I am so sorry. Thank you, but no, we're not doing this. That was my mindset. I was not in that headspace. I just wasn't. But God will work in incredible ways when you surrender the pen for him to write your love story. And when you know that, look, if I remain in the jet stream of God's will, he will provide for me in ways I cannot even imagine. And that is my prayer for you. My prayer for you is to remain open.
Because according to posts and videos spreading rapidly across social media, a leaked document, allegedly a medical report, had started making the rounds, and the people sharing it claimed it raised serious questions about the paternity of Erika's children. Not vague questions either, specific ones. And attached to those questions was a name that wasn't random. It was a name that had been in Erika's orbit for years, in ways that, once you started mapping the timeline, were genuinely difficult to explain away. None of this has been confirmed. Snopes has flagged multiple Erika Kirk-related claims as fabricated or unverified, and no credible source has authenticated any leaked documents. But before you can understand why so many people believe there's something there, you have to understand the image Erika had spent years constructing, because that image is exactly what makes all of this land so hard.
Know that nothing is by mistake. Nothing. I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband. Well, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line. And I remember looking behind me, and in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar. And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence.
Here is the thing about Erika Kirk's public brand that doesn't get said clearly enough. She wasn't just Charlie's wife. She was a whole architecture. Miss Arizona USA 2012, political science degree from Arizona State, law degree from Liberty University. She launched Bible in 365, a program encouraging followers to read the entire scripture in a calendar year. She started Proclaim Streetwear, a Christian clothing line. She built a faith-based podcast. She spoke at women's conferences and positioned herself publicly as a woman whose personal life was a direct extension of her values. Disciplined, spiritually grounded, and nothing like what she described as the chaotic modern dating world. Every piece pointed in the same direction. And the internet, being the internet, eventually asked the obvious question. Did the actual timeline match the presentation? Spoiler, it didn't even come close.
Crazy.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
No, and I know you're going to keep saying that. I understand.
Yeah.
Like, I know that.
No, I know.
And I know there's probably no magic string of words that I could piece together to procure some type of answer. But yeah. I think on a surface level, like, I'm not going to walk out of here until I say my piece. Like, I mean, y'all know this. I just worked a series of 80, 90-hour weeks plus for AmFest.
Yeah,
I've had no direction or explanation since we've come back. Our CEO has been assassinated. I've done nothing but bend over backwards for this organization. And the point where I'm wondering if this is a prank.
It's not a prank. I would never do that.
So I'm just trying to understand. And
no, I understand. It's time to.
So do I get to have a conversation with Dylan? Do I get to have a conversation with Justin or anybody? Or
nope.
No. And there's no explanation as to why I'm going to let go.
Right now, we'll leave it all.
You know, and you're going to keep saying a different direction, but I'm trying to understand how I've met multiple times with my.
We're going a different direction with the team, and I have to ask you to leave now.
You have to ask me to leave the property?
Yes.
Due to what, Frank?
Because we're asking you to leave because you've been terminated and we're not.
But there's no explanation or documentation for this. I've never had one bad review from Dylan. I've never had one issue with the company. I've never done anything unethical. And so I'm sitting here understanding why my entire livelihood is being completely tossed out. I mean, I sat in this chair.
You're gonna do great things.
No, and I plan to.
I don't think your livelihood's being tossed out. I think you're very successful.
Well, my paycheck every other week is being tossed out, Frank, with absolutely no warning whatsoever.
I understand. But if at this time, it's time for you to go.
It's time for me to go. Why? Like this is the treatment that Turning Point is offering now.
It's time to go.
Frank, this is crazy.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
I don't think you do. This feels very heartless. This feels without emotion.
I do understand where you're coming from.
This feels completely without emotion.
One of the first surprises to go viral was the discovery that Erika had appeared on Season 3 of Bravo's Summer House, not as a background guest, as a deliberate cast addition, brought on reportedly as a potential love interest for Jordan Verroy, the same year she allegedly met Charlie Kirk. The footage that resurfaced showed Erika socializing in exactly the kind of scene she would later describe with barely concealed contempt on national television. And here's the detail that stopped people mid-scroll. She was visibly drinking. This is the same woman who told a CBS audience she didn't drink, found it unproductive, and used her clean lifestyle as a quiet moral counterpoint to her roommate's social scene. She later told People magazine she turned down a full-cast role to focus on law school, and that meeting Charlie changed everything. But the contradiction in the footage was already sitting there, fully public, for anyone willing to look.
You can see from behind me, this is a recreation of the tent where Charlie Kirk lost his life at Utah University in September, and people are taking selfies with it.
I can't. I cannot. I am not capable of whatever that. When I saw this, I realized I do not know enough words. I had to consult a thesaurus, and I still could not land upon the correct adjective to describe how I felt when I saw that tent. People taking selfies under a recreation. I don't know if it's actually the tent. It looks like it's pretty old, or a tent that Charlie died under. That's what was happening at AmFest. Horrified. I was aghast. I don't think I ever described myself as aghast. I was aghast. It was ghastly to look at that and to realize that they made a conscious decision to allow that to happen. To what end?
And people kept looking. What they found next came from 2015, 3 years before the so-called job interview with Charlie. Photos of Erika alongside a man named Tyler Massey surfaced across TikTok and social media, and these weren't throwaway candid shots. They were professional, styled, published by a photography studio with a caption describing the shoot as full of laughter, love, and perfection, the language studios use for couples photos. Some viewers went further, suggesting the images had the quality of engagement photos, an allegation that was never confirmed and never denied. What is confirmed is that Erika was reportedly connected to Massey in at least one Arizona publication from that period. She has never addressed any of it, not once. And for people already side-eyeing her CBS claims, that silence hit like a confirmation.
Tom Brady and Erika Kirk are reportedly dating now, and this got 13 million views in just one day with 80,000 likes. But guys, it gets worse, because as you know, in several podcasts with Charlie Kirk, Erika Kirk said that she would be single forever if they ever got a divorce or anything ever happened, right? Well, as you know, he passed away. That everybody already knows that, but yeah, apparently they are dating, and I really just don't even understand this. A lot of people are saying JD Vance is going to be sad. Obviously, that's just the joke, because she was like hugging him on stage, but obviously she just like is touchy like that. So like that's the excuse.
But the thread that genuinely scrambled the timeline involved a 2015 Trump rally in Arizona. Once people started replaying the footage carefully, they noticed something that had previously gone unremarked. Standing close to Erika in that crowd was a man named Tyler Bauer, reported to be the very person who later introduced Erika to Charlie Kirk. The same Tyler Bauer who would go on to hold a significant role inside Turning Point USA. What had appeared to be background footage of a random rally attendee suddenly looked like proof that Erika's connection to Charlie's world had existed years before she ever described entering it. And nearby, in that same footage, a young girl appeared who some online viewers alleged bore a resemblance to a man whose name was about to become the biggest piece of this entire story.
Massive purge of employees a few days ago, or at the end of, I guess, last week, you could say. What did you hear about that purge?
I heard there were 30 to 40 people purged, that they were looking for the leak. They knew there are leaks out of TPUSA. They are terrified of these leaks because of what TPUSA has been up to. And rather than try to be an honest organization, it's just let's get rid of all the people we think might be disclosing that we're a dishonest.
That name is Cabot Phillips. Phillips is a senior editor at the Daily Wire and a well-known figure inside the same conservative media ecosystem that ran parallel to Charlie's network. According to posts that resurfaced across multiple platforms, Erika and Cabot were allegedly involved in 2017, 1 year before she reportedly met Charlie. The evidence people circulated wasn't ambiguous. A painting class photo, the two of them side by side with canvases, bar outings, shared social media content, a caption reportedly from Phillips' own public page referring to the two of them as a couple. These are alleged based on resurfaced posts and have not been confirmed by either party. But here is where it stopped being just a timeline problem and started being something people couldn't look away from. Cabot Phillips is now a Turning Point USA speaker. He has reportedly appeared at Charlie Kirk tribute events. He has allegedly hosted something called How to Lead Like Charlie. He is standing inside the house that Charlie built, honoring the man whose wife allegedly dated him months before they ever met, and nobody, not Phillips, not TPUSA, not Erika, has said a single word about any of it publicly. Now layer on top of all of that a viral story that reportedly racked up 13 million views in a single day. The claim, unconfirmed, disputed, and denied by no one directly, was that Erika and Tom Brady were reportedly now dating. This matters less because of Brady and more because of what Erika had said publicly more than once while Charlie was alive. In multiple interviews and podcast appearances, she had stated clearly that if anything ever happened, she would remain single, that she was not the kind of woman who moved on, that her devotion was permanent. None of that may be relevant if the Tom Brady story is fabricated, and it very well may be. But when a rumor with zero confirmed basis still pulls 13 million views in one day, it tells you something about the level of distrust that had already been building. People weren't watching because they believed it. They were watching because they were already primed by everything that came before it.
The AmFest controversy dropped a completely different kind of story into an already chaotic news cycle. According to multiple reports and footage circulating online, a recreation of the tent connected to the location where Charlie died was allegedly displayed at the AmFest event, a major TPUSA gathering, with attendees reportedly photographed taking pictures near or inside the structure. Critics described the decision as crossing a line between honoring someone's memory and turning a tragedy into a spectacle. TPUSA has not issued a detailed public explanation, and simultaneously, reports began surfacing that the organization had conducted a significant internal purge, allegedly between 30 and 40 employees let go with little warning and no clear official explanation. According to sources speaking anonymously to conservative media commentators, the real motivation wasn't organizational restructuring, it was containment. The organization reportedly believed there were leaks, and rather than address whatever was leaking, they allegedly moved to eliminate the people doing the leaking. That's a disputed account from unverified sources, not a confirmed fact. But the timing, coming at the exact moment public scrutiny was reaching its highest point, did not go unnoticed. What the internet keeps returning to, on TikTok, on Reddit, in YouTube comments and X threads, is not actually the existence of Erika's dating history. That part surprises nobody. She was a woman in her late 20s moving through a social and professional world in a major city. Of course there was a history. The problem people cannot move past is how she chose to use the absence of that history as a moral argument. She didn't just decline to mention it, she weaponized her claimed purity. She sat in front of a national CBS audience and described her lifestyle choices in a way that explicitly positioned her above women who dated around, who went to bars, who weren't willing to wait. She used her past, or rather the version of her past she was presenting, as evidence of character. And that is a fundamentally different act than simply keeping your personal life private. That distinction matters enormously right now because the image she built on that foundation is no longer a personal brand. It is a leadership identity. Erika Kirk is the CEO of Turning Point USA, one of the most operationally powerful conservative organizations in the country, founded by Charlie Kirk. She received what sources have described as an estimated $10 million in donations in the weeks following Charlie's death. She is actively shaping the direction of a movement, and the base of that entire tower is the story she told about who she was, how she lived, and what she stood for before Charlie Kirk said he wanted to date her. Charlie himself never went on record with doubts. He never confronted any of this in public. He died without making a single statement that suggested he was privately dealing with any of the questions that are now flooding every platform where his name appears. What he left behind was everything: the organization, the audience, the platform, the legacy, and a widow who now holds all of it. The questions people are asking aren't disappearing because they're uncomfortable. If anything, they're getting louder. And the louder they get, the more that unbroken silence from everyone inside that world starts to feel like an answer all on its own. So here is the open question I want you to think about and drop in the comments.
If the identity she used to step into power was built on a version of her past that doesn't match what the receipts show, does that change what you believe about everything she's done since Charlie died? Because a lot of people are already deciding, and the rest are still watching very closely.